going on, everybody? It's Richard Koberger here, the Blue Collar Nerd, coming at you with some pretty big news. So, starting with the ST51 release, which is the very next release coming out, we are getting the appointments feature, which is the new, official, non-workaround, non-janky solution for multi-day jobs, which is super exciting. Multi-day jobs have been a huge pain point for a very long time. I'm a little tempted to dance, but there's a lot to go over. There's some big implications with this. We've got to get down to business, but okay, just a quick one. All right, that's all you get. We've got to get serious. So this is no minor update. This is one of the most fundamental changes to ServiceTitan that's happened in a very long time, because it changes what a job is in ServiceTitan. I mean, it just doesn't get much more foundational than that. Now, because this update is so foundational, it's not something that can be turned on for some accounts, but not others. It's something that once the switch is flipped, it's flipped on for everybody all at once. So with some new features, we're able to be a little bit more casual as far as how we prepare, because we're able to just turn that feature on whenever we're ready for it. But that's not the case this time. We have to be ready for this because once it's on, it is on. Now, I don't say any of that to scare you. There's no reason to be scared. I only say it to be transparent and to encourage you to do some research ahead of time so that you're not caught off guard. Now, the good news is that introducing appointments doesn't break the old workflows. So if you want to keep using the old workflows for a while, that's perfectly fine. You still can do that. So if you need to keep rescheduling the same job, or you need to keep stretching the job really long so it covers multiple days, no worries, that still works. So while you can't turn appointments off, it will technically be there. You don't have to use it right away if you don't want to. Okay, so first of all, let me take you over to the iPad, and I just want to go over real high level what this changes about how a job works. Okay, so this is how jobs used to work in ServiceTitan before appointments. I'm going to use an HVAC example. I know that I always give HVAC examples because that's the industry that I'm from, and it's the area where I feel least likely to totally embarrass myself. But plumbers, electricians, water treatment, landscaping, everybody else, I see you guys too, garage doors, I don't want to embarrass myself. So let's say we would have 3 total jobs. We'll call this one the no cool. And then let's say we went out to that no cool and we found that it was a pretty old unit that needed some pretty serious repairs, and so the client opted to explore replacement options. Okay, so then our second job was the consultation or the sales job. And then finally, our third job, and this is where things got a little bit complicated. This was our install, but it was a 3-day install. Pretty big job. Maybe it was 2 or 3 different systems, lots of ductwork, whatever. It was a 3-day job. So you had a few options of how to deal with that install job. You could book 3 separate install jobs on 3 separate days. You could make the one install job really long, where it stretched across 3 separate days. Or you could keep rescheduling the one install job at the end of each day to the next day. So for this example, let's say we chose to book 3 separate jobs. Okay, and then all of these jobs here would be grouped together in one big project. So it looks like this. The project is the container that holds all of these different jobs, and when we had a 3-day install, we chose to book it as 3 separate jobs, even though it's really one job. So with appointments, it looks more like this. Okay, it looks like this. So projects still exist. They group jobs together. The difference is that jobs are now containers for appointments. That means every single job has at least one appointment. So in this example that I gave, our no cool had just a single appointment. We went out, we diagnosed, we found out exactly what was wrong in one appointment. Then we had the consultation, which was also only one appointment. But then that install job had 3 separate appointments on it. So we came out on day 1, we came out on day 2, and we came out on day 3. Okay, so that's the basic concept, real high level. Now let's dig a little bit deeper. Okay, so now here we are in ServiceTitan. On the left side of the screen here, I have the office side, and on the right, I have the mobile. So the morning that this goes live, the first thing you're gonna wanna do on the office side is go into the permissions and make sure that every office employee who needs to be able to add appointments has that permission enabled. And that's this permission down here towards the bottom, create appointment on a job. Now we'll also want to give our technician permissions a once over. There are some new permissions there in the technician permissions, as well as some old permissions that we should just take a look at because they are going to have an effect on what kinds of options our technicians have in regards to closing out jobs and appointments. So this one right here, schedule additional appointments on a job, that's gonna have an effect. Request an additional appointment on a job, that'll have an effect. Place job on hold will have an effect. And lead technician actions will have an effect. And I'll go into more detail about what exactly those effects are once we get over into the mobile side. Now, as far as booking the initial job from the call screen, the initial job and single appointment, that doesn't really change at all. So the call screen will look exactly the same and your workflow there is exactly the same. So here I've got this install job. I'm going to make it tomorrow at 8 a.m. I've got myself and another technician on that job assigned, and I'm going to book job. Okay, so here on the job screen, this is where things will start to look a little bit different. So we've got our main job action still in the upper right-hand corner here, but over here it just says scheduled. We just have the job status. We don't have any drop downs or actions that we can take from here like we used to. That's because those are moved down here to this scheduled appointments section. So you can see here we have scheduled appointments and we have the one default appointment made already for us. We have this add appointment button right here if we wanted to add another appointment, or I can hit this drop down here to add multiple appointments kind of in bulk. So I can add 2 appointments, 3, all the way up to 5 appointments all at once. I can also hit this edit button here and that will allow me to edit all of the appointments that are scheduled so far. Right now it's only the one. And I can make changes to individual appointments here. I've got this assign drop down on the single appointment, the edit button for just that one appointment, and this kebab menu here, which gives me some additional options as well. So for now, I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make this a 2-day install, so I'm going to click add appointment. By default, the start date is going to be the next day, so it assumes you're booking these kind of one day after the other, but of course you can change that. I'm gonna leave it alone. And if I needed to keep adding appointments, I've got a new add appointment button up here as well. But that looks fine. I'm gonna click schedule appointment. Okay, and now I have a job with 2 appointments on it. You can see up here in the upper right where it says scheduled. I now also have a job status to show the percentage done that we are on this job. So if one of the 2 appointments gets completed, that'll be a 50% done job status. If I were dispatching from the office, here's where I would do it, right here from this 3-dot kebab menu. Now, because my example appointment here is not actually scheduled for today, it's scheduled for a future date, that is why that 3-dot menu is where I need to dispatch from. But if it were actually scheduled for today, if it were the same day appointment, this assign button would be a dispatch button. So that would probably be the more likely place where I would hit dispatch. And of course, you can still dispatch from the dispatch board by right-clicking on the appointment bubble, formerly known as the job bubble. And now let's go ahead and move over to the mobile side. So I see that job there. If I click into all jobs, I'll see both appointments on that single job. So if you look at the job number here, 1799, 1799. So it's the same job number on both of these. They are separate appointments on the same job. Something important to note is that jobs still are on a single invoice. So not like every appointment gets its own invoice. No, every job has a single invoice, and the appointments are just your windows of when you actually show up and do that work. All right, so let's go ahead and dispatch to this job. Okay, and now we'll arrive to this job. Now, something I'll bring up at this point is form triggers. So let's say I had some sort of install checklist that gets triggered when I arrive on a job, right? So how does that work with appointments? Well, it works the same way. It's on the job level, not the appointment level. That means if I'm triggering a form, it's going to trigger one time for the entire job. So it's not going to require me to fill that form out for every single appointment. It's going to require me to fill it out once for the entire job. There is currently no way to trigger forms for specific appointments. It will trigger one time for the actual job itself, not for individual appointments. Now down here in the lower left-hand corner of the mobile side, we have this closeout button. And if I click on that, that is where I will get my new options as a technician. So I'm going to pull up on the office side the technician permissions so that I can kind of show which permissions correspond to which option over here on the closeout menu in mobile. Okay, so at the top, I have mark as done. That is just the button that marks myself as done on this particular appointment. Let me also dispatch the other technician to this appointment as well, actually. Give me 1 second. Okay, I've gone ahead and dispatched and arrived the other technician as well. So now myself and another technician are both actively working on this appointment. So over here on the office side under my technician permissions, I have lead technician actions permission enabled for myself. So over on the mobile side, the two options that I want to focus on first are this top one under appointment options, mark as done, and this one at the very bottom under job options, complete the job. Now you'll notice that complete the job right now is grayed out. I can't do that because I have not collected the signatures on this job, and so I can't close it out. However, had I collected the signatures, I would be able to do both. I would have mark myself as done as an option, and I would have complete the job as an option. Now I am on day one of a 2-day install, so most likely I would want to be choosing mark as done up here, not complete the job. Complete the job would mean, hey, this 2-day install, what we thought was going to be a 2-day install, we finished early. We got it done in 1 day, and so I'm completing the entire job right now. And so that is really the main distinction that technicians are going to need to understand before this goes live, is the difference between appointments and jobs. Because if they say complete the job, that will complete the entire job. All of the future appointments will be closed. That action can be undone from the office. It's not super catastrophic. It's not the end of the world, but it does cause an unnecessary headache, and it's easily avoidable by the technician just understanding the difference between appointments and jobs. So if everything went as planned, it's day one of a 2-day install, and we still have work to do tomorrow, I would be choosing this top option. Under appointment options, mark as done. So I'm going to click that, and then under that I have two options here. I can only mark myself as done, or I can mark the entire appointment done. I only have these two options because I have the lead technician action permission enabled for myself. What that permission allows me to do is close out the entire appointment even though other people are working on it. So I'm not the only technician on this job right now, there is somebody else. If I didn't have the lead technician permission enabled, I would only be able to close out myself for today. I couldn't close out the entire appointment. So instead of these two options here, this main option right here where it says mark as done, it would say mark only myself as done, and that would be the only appointment option that I had available to me. Now, whether I'm lead technician or not, if the signatures were collected, I would be able to close out the entire job right now, which is why it is really important for technicians to understand that most of the time they're finishing the appointment if it's multiple days. Now, if it's only a single job and a single appointment, they can close out the entire job. They're synonymous at that point. Closing out the appointment is closing out the job, so closing out the job will be the only option. Okay, now in the middle here under advanced options, we have pause this appointment. Now pausing an appointment is done for now. That's just kind of the new name for it, is pausing an appointment. Now done for now used to be one of the possible options for making a workaround multi-day workflow, right? So one of the choices used to be you could make your single job really long to span multiple days, and then you would use done for now to kind of pause it, resume it, pause it, resume it. But if you're using appointments, then appointments replace that workflow. So pausing an appointment is really only for really short same-day trips. Like, I'm just gonna go to the supply house for a few minutes and pick up some extra supplies, and I'll be right back. Now, pausing an appointment is a permission, so you don't have to use it at all. If I did not have this permission enabled, this option just wouldn't be here for me. Okay, now this final option is I need another appointment scheduled. So because I've given myself like all of the permissions, if I click on that, I will have 3 options within there. I can place this appointment on hold, I can schedule another appointment, or I can notify the office that I need another appointment. So place this appointment on hold. That is associated with the put a job on hold permission over here on the office side. There it is, place a job on hold. If I did not have that enabled, then this option would not show up for me. Schedule another appointment, that's associated with this permission over here, schedule additional appointments on a job. So again, if I didn't have that permission, that option wouldn't show up for me, but that option allows me as a technician to book another appointment myself. Now this last one here, this is the one that I think will be most commonly used. Notify the office that I need another appointment, and that is associated with this permission down here, request an additional appointment for a job. Now I'm actually going to choose this option because I want to show you what happens on the office side when I do. So there's just a text box here where I, as a technician, can explain my reasoning for why I need another appointment. So here I'm going to say we ordered the wrong equipment, whoopsie daisies, close out. Okay, so now I have closed out that first appointment. That first appointment is complete, and I've requested an additional appointment in addition to the one that was already scheduled for tomorrow. So now here I am on the dispatch board, and we see that appointment now has a red box around it. We'll also notice that my doing that did close out the appointment for both me and the other technician. So as an office user now, my first alert that something has happened there is that red box around the bubble. If I hover over the bubble, I see that Richard BCN requested another job appointment. Also, if I go under this alerts tab here in the job tray underneath the dispatch board, I will see that appointment request down there as well. And if I stretch this out, finally, you can see that in the SMS feed, I see that I requested that appointment over there in that feed as well. Now you can also set up an alert when anybody requests an additional appointment, and if you're planning to use that feature, then I definitely recommend setting up that alert so that it can be sent to an email or a separate cell phone. So if you're planning to use that feature, definitely add that to the to-do list. If you're an advanced user and you want to get really fancy, you could even get Zapier involved to kind of automatically put that into a task in the task management system. But that's an advanced technique and a topic for another video. All right, let's go ahead, let's dispatch and arrive to the second appointment now, and let's jump back into that menu. Okay, so here I am now scheduled on appointment 2 out of 2. I'm not actually going to schedule that third appointment that I requested as a technician. That was just kind of to show you. So I'm on the last appointment for this job now. So you'll see this button up here, it now says only mark myself as done. Now it says that because I cannot mark the entire appointment as done because this is the last appointment. Marking the entire appointment as done means closing the job. I still cannot close the job because I have not collected my signatures, and so that's my only appointment option right now, is to mark just myself as done, but I've got to leave somebody on this job so that they can close out the rest of the job. Now again, I'm going to click I need another appointment scheduled because I want to talk to you a little bit about putting a job on hold. So putting a job on hold should be a pretty rare use case. In my personal opinion, and not the official opinion of ServiceTitan, disclaimer asterisk, most companies don't really need the hold option. They can just disable it in the permissions and simplify their lives a little bit. Let's say you go out to a service job and it turns out you're gonna need a special order part to complete that job and you can't do it that day. The recommended best practice from ServiceTitan in that situation is not to use appointments or use hold, it's to book a separate job altogether. One example where maybe you might use hold is if maybe you need a permit for a particular job and you don't know exactly when you're going to get that permit, you just know that eventually you are going to get it and that appointment is going to occur. Well, then the technician could use put this appointment on hold. What that will do is complete this appointment, so the appointment that they're on, that will be completed, and then it will automatically create a new appointment in the hold status. And that appointment will float there in the hold status until somebody in the office schedules it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back and I'm going to collect the signatures on this job. Okay, I've collected the signatures, and now if I scroll down to the bottom, I see complete this job is now an option for me. And you'll see under the little bullet points here for complete this job, it breaks it down, it makes it pretty clear what that button's for. So it says this job is complete and does not require any further appointments or work. And it also says that it completes the job for all technicians and appointments. So that's the option I'm going to choose. It shows me that I need to collect signatures, but that's checked off, so I'm already done with that. And I'm going to click close out. It's going to warn me one more time that if I close this out, that's closing out the entire job, all of the appointments for all of the technicians assigned to this job. I understand that, I'm good with that, so I'm going to hit complete. And there it is, I've completed the entire job. Now, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now and you're thinking like, gosh, this is a lot of options for the technicians to have, I want to remind you that I have intentionally engineered an example here where this closeout screen looks as complicated as it ever possibly could because I need to show you everything that's possible. So my example is a multi-day job where there are other technicians besides myself on the job and I have every available permission possible. But chances are you're not actually going to be giving every technician every possible permission, and chances are that most of your jobs aren't actually multi-day jobs with multiple technicians. Most of your jobs are probably single appointment jobs. And on a single appointment, single technician job, this is about as complex as the closeout screen will get. So we could potentially have the pause this appointment option, assuming that's enabled, and we could potentially still have the option to request another appointment or put the job on hold, assuming those permissions are enabled. And then the only other option is just to complete the job. And those two options are still based on permissions, so you could configure it so that most of the time your technicians only have the one option to just complete the job. Just wanted to throw that out there as a reminder, just in case you were feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Some other notes, skills, if you're using technician skills, those still work on the job level. So if you want to assign a technician to any of the appointments They'll have to have the skills required for that job type. Payroll splits are still on the job level, not individual appointment level. Those are the big ones off the top of my head, but there is a very detailed frequently asked questions document that goes over a lot of the little nitty-gritty details, and I definitely recommend checking out that document. I will have a link to it in the description down below. There's also a change management checklist. That's basically a top to bottom checklist of everything that we recommend you do in order to prepare for this change. Again, I'll also be linking to that in the description down below. If you are watching this video, then that means that appointments are now live in the Next account, so you can always go over there and play around with it. I definitely recommend doing that, especially if you're a hands-on learner like me. That's really the best way for it to really settle in. As far as when this will be going live, at the time of recording this video, I don't have an exact answer for you. I'm sorry, I wish I did. Ballpark, it should be sometime in late February. It could end up a little later than that, maybe even sometime in March. But keep an eye on your email. We'll be keeping you up to date that way and letting you know as soon as we have a final date. Again, check out that frequently asked questions document, check out that change management checklist. There are webinars and things that you can sign up for, and those are links within that change management checklist. And again, I will be putting all of these resources in the description down below. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Be sure to hit like if you liked this video and found it valuable. Be sure to subscribe to ServiceTitan's YouTube channel if you've not done that already. Hit that bell icon so that YouTube notifies you anytime we upload a new video. Appreciate it. Peace.